the star of the show, Jordan Rogozinski.
Hello, folks. Welcome back to the Jordan 411 Sports Show. I'm really excited and honored to have the very special guest on my show. He is a former professional football player. He played 3 years in the NFL and 14 years with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. He also holds the record for most touchdowns in the CFL, and he was inducted into the CFL Hall of Fame in 2012. Please give a huge hand to number 85, Milt Stegall! So my first question is, how was your childhood growing up?
Well, my childhood, I had a pretty good childhood. I grew up in Cincinnati, Ohio. I had 2 older brothers and 2 older sisters. So I was the last of 5 kids. Actually, I was a mistake. My parents didn't mean to have me, so I was the best mistake ever. Growing up, I played every sport possible, not just football. I played basketball, ran track. I did volleyball, I did gymnastics, I did soccer. So I had a pretty awesome childhood.
What was your reaction when the old stadium was torn down?
It was tough. It was tough. I cried a little bit. I shed a couple of tears. But, it was time. That stadium was bad.
Yeah.
It was pretty bad.
Really
so
bad.
It was time, But that stadium where it gave me an opportunity to do a lot of things. My 14 years with the Bombers was spent in that stadium. Some good memories, some bad memories, but overall, it was some positive things that happened in that stadium.
How did it feel when you were on the field for the last time and people chanting your name in 2008?
It was overwhelming because you realize that this is the end of my football career. I started playing football when I was 4 years old. And then, at the time I was 38, and it went by like that because I had so much fun. So you just have to realize that, I didn't cry that it was over. I rejoiced because I actually had an opportunity to play football until I was 38 years old. Very few people get to do that, basically can say I've been doing something since I was 4 years old.
What's the best coach's advice you ever got?
Actually, the best coaching advice I ever received was from my receiver coach in college. He told me, just go out there and enjoy yourself. You go out there and play like you played when you were 4 years old. Enjoy yourself, and whatever happens, happens. You're always prepared. You're always in shape. Go out there and have fun because you don't know when it's going to be over with.
I heard from a little birdie that your favorite saying is thin in the waist,
and cute in the face.
Yeah. Pretty in the face.
That's my little saying. I stay cute in the face and thin in the waist, and as you can see, I'm still holding true to it. So, just having a little fun.
Yeah. And I heard you used to give gloves to rookie receivers.
Yeah, I used to give gloves. When you first come into the CFL as a rookie during training camp, they don't give you any money. They want to wait till you make the team. So you have some rookies, they don't have opportunity to get better gloves, or sometimes at night they would get hungry. I would buy them pizza, just trying to make them feel comfortable because when you're comfortable, you have a better opportunity to make the team. So I would just try to provide for them the best way I could.
Hold
on, how did you find that out?
I watched your DVD that you made.
You did your research.
I think in 2008.
Right, exactly. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Good DVD, by the way.
Thank you.
Who inspired you to play football?
Well, actually, I wanted to play because one of my older brothers, he's 4 years older than me, and he was 8 at the time, and he started playing football, and my parents were like, you too young, but I told them, if you don't let me play, I'm going to throw a tantrum. So they allowed me to play when I was 4. I actually didn't get an opportunity to get on the field till I was 6 because I was just too small. My pants were down to my ankles. They couldn't find a helmet or shoulder pad. So I was actually practicing, but when I turned 6, that's when I had an opportunity to get on the field. So I just wanted to be and do what my older brother was.
What was your best moment of your career?
It would have to be the touchdown in 2006 in Edmonton. Yeah, the last second play. It was amazing. I still look at it sometimes and think, was I involved in that? Was that a dream? Because the way everything played out. So that was the most exciting moment in my football career.
In the huddle, what was going on during that play?
Well, actually, the play before that, Kevin and I, the quarterback, Kevin Glenn, who's back with Winnipeg now, we couldn't believe that they played that defense. And we actually said to each other, we may have a shot. Of course, we were laughing when we said that because 100 yards with no time left, last play of the game. But like you said, he threw the ball up. I happened to make a catch and run into the end zone, and the rest is history.
But didn't you have to dodge two guys?
No, I have a special power. I turned invisible, so they couldn't see me. So actually, I just ran straight. They actually looked like they dodged me.
And now we're going to actually show
Are you going to show it? Okay. All right.
Will it play?
We need a pass interference call. They go to Stegall and they get one.
Almost a little contact there.
But no flag.
We don't need ball.
Maybe the veteran Stegall trying to sell it. Because
Danny Machocha just mentioned to Rick Campbell, tell them no penalties, please.
4 seconds left.
Because you can't end the game on a penalty. A penalty, even if the time has expired, means one more play, another penalty. I've seen it happen. Where two penalties have happened after time has expired and the game continues.
The last time we won until this year.
Yeah.
One last shot.
Barring a penalty for Kevin Glenn. Downfield for Stegall. He's got it. No! Are you kidding? This is unbelievable. Touchdown Bombers.
And that was the hardest hit I took all year right there.
Yeah.
The most remarkable touchdown of Milt Stegall's career. 100 yards on the final play. That is 133 touchdowns.
How was that?
That was cool. That was pretty cool. It still brings me, I still get tingles when I watch that play, so that was pretty cool. Yeah.
You and Kahari Jones had a good chemistry.
Mm-hmm.
What makes a good, tandem? Is it the quarterback or the receiver?
It's a combination. You guys we have to be on the same page because there was a lot of times where Kahari and I, we would do things and only Kahari and I knew we were going to do them. Nobody on offense, the coaches, they didn't know, but that comes with playing together, practicing together, and watching film together that we were able to form that relationship.
And your waggle was pretty unique.
Yeah, my waggle, what he's talking about as we're running towards the line, it was probably unique because my knees were hurting so bad. So that's what made it a little unique. But it was something that I learned how to utilize. It actually took me a couple of years to get used to that because just playing in the States, all the time we're at a standstill. So it took me a couple of years to get used to that.
How was playing kick returner in the U.S.?
I hated it. I didn't like returning kicks or punts, but it was something I had to do.
Yeah.
Sometimes in life, you have to do things you don't have to do, but I did it with an optimistic, positive attitude, and I did pretty well at it.
And after your time in Cincinnati, you didn't make the Green Bay Packers.
Right.
Because your knee, right?
Right. Well, what happened was after my time up, my contract was up with the Bengals. I signed with the Packers, and the first day of training camp, I severely strained my hamstring. So by the time training camp was up, they didn't have anything to evaluate me on, and that's when they released me, and that's when I came up to camp.
Did you have any thoughts that you might not play, or did that?
Well, actually, after Green Bay, I thought my career was over, and I was actually about to enter the real world and become a teacher, believe it or not. But thank God I didn't have to do that. Oh, no, I'm just joking. But no, my agent called me and told me there's a team in Canada that has your rights and that wants you to come up and play. And I said, who? And he said, Winnipeg. And I said, who? Winnipeg. And back then, they didn't have the internet, so I had to go on an encyclopedia and look at Winnipeg above North Dakota. Is North Dakota even in America anymore? So, but I wouldn't change anything in the world. Wouldn't change anything in the world about it.
How, when you first got to Winnipeg, because I know people have rumors that we live in igloos. Was that
Right,
crossing your mind
No,
at
no,
all?
no, because my family, I wasn't born, but my parents had brought my kids up to, I think it was in Montreal or Toronto at the time, to the World's Fair in the 70s, or it was the 60s, I can't remember. But they told me about Canada, and in school we learned a little bit about it. So I wasn't too much surprised, besides the weather when it was cold and the mosquitoes when it was hot, about Winnipeg.
How was the cold winters?
It's bad. It's still bad. I still don't like cold weather. That's why I live in Atlanta, Georgia now. So, but I mean, it was an experience. I think the coldest game I played in was 2003, and with the wind chill was like minus 25. But my thinking was there were like 25,000 fans in the stands. If they can come to the game, the least I can do is try to go out here and play hard for them.
Now we're gonna move to broadcasting. What does a day involve as a broadcaster?
Well, say if we have 2 games, we'll have a game on a Saturday at 1 o'clock and 4 o'clock. We'll have to show up to the studio probably about 10 o'clock, so we start prepping for our pregame show, some of the things we're going to talk about, some of the players we're going to talk about. So prep for a pregame show. We have a pregame show at 12. You have a game at 1 and 4. And then after your second game at 7, you also have to do some Sports Center hits and some things like that. So your day starts at 10 a.m. and you may be done at maybe 8, 9 p.m. that evening.
Not bad.
So you think you still want to take my job?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, I'm just asking.
I would probably replace Schultze.
Yeah, he needs to be replaced.
I
Huh?
think
We've been trying to get rid of him for
replace
years
him.
now, huh? I'm going to tell him you said that.
When you do your 3-minute warning, I saw one time you're a dancer, right?
I'm a great dancer, right?
Yeah. Want to bust a move?
Oh, my goodness.
Seriously, bust the move.
We don't have any music, huh? I need about 10 minutes to warm up. All right, this is my jock climby dance, all right?
Yeah. Holy.
You put me on the spot right there. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Teachers, you love that, huh? All right, all right.
How did you get the job on TSN?
Well, in 2007, we were in the Grey Cup. Brian Williams, who's been with TSN
Good old
for a
Brian.
while, he reached out to him and he was like, well, when you retire, you know, there's some people at the company who were thinking about bringing you in. I thought he was joking. I never thought about it again, but I announced my retirement, and 2 weeks later, they were calling me saying, okay, here's your schedule. We have a job for you.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty
It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. Nice transition.
It's too bad you didn't want to break up.
Mm-hmm.
But what was the breakup experience like for you?
Oh, it was a great experience. It was a great experience, just an entire week. Not just the game, but the entire week. In 2001, we had a great experience, but I had a better experience in 2007 because at the time I was married. My oldest son, he was 3. He remembers a little bit of it. I had a bunch of my wife's family was up there. My mother, I had a sister and a brother was up there. So I had a lot more family and friends up there. So it was a better experience than what I had in 2001 because then it was just basically me up there. So it's not just the game, it's everything that goes on before and after the game.
When you first come up to Winnipeg, you only won 4 games, but what was your first impression of the wide field?
When I saw it, I was like, well, once I learn this game, this is something I can definitely take advantage of. Like I said before, it took me like a year or 2 to learn the CFL game, but once I figured things out and figured out the different angles and everything I could take, I really started utilizing the big field and used it to my advantage.
How many balls have you kept from your career?
Well, I actually didn't start keeping balls until 2007 when I got closer to breaking the record. They actually started keeping them for me. I actually didn't keep them for myself, but our head equipment guy, Brad Foddy, he was like, we're going to start keeping these balls for you. So I probably have like 15 balls at home now.
Holy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, do you have one favorite?
I guess it would have to be the record-breaking ball in 2007 when I broke the touchdown record. But I tell you how much my wife thinks of that ball. I gave her that ball, and when I came home, my kids were in the backyard playing with it. So tells you how much. But that's what kids do. You can't blame. That's what little boys do.
Are they into football as much as you?
They're into European football. Their sport is soccer.
Oh,
I mean, they don't
soccer.
mind watching football, but their sport, they'll sit down and watch an entire soccer
Come
match.
on, you gotta install your power.
No, I can't. They're soccer players. That's their sport of choice.
Okay, I'm really honored that you would take the time to really impact somebody's life like mine.
No.
And to see my peers out there, all my peers, to come and watch my dream come true.
No, thank you.
And I want to thank Dave, Brenda, Miss Jans, Jack, Colton, Jeremy, my mom, Grandma and Grandpa. It's been a special moment.
Thank you. And I have one question for you. Now, you plan on taking my job. Just give me a few more years so I can just feed my family a few more years, okay? That's all I ask. Sounds good? All right.
Okay. Yeah. Now we hear from Clinton with the Buckeye Beat.
I'm Quinta Fessick, and this is the Buckeye Beat.
Sebastian Kabuska, lead.
Claudius Hodge, second.
My name is Graham Lowen, and I'm third.
Brett Walter, and the skip.
So when did you guys know that you were going to win the game, like the last game?
One thing that I've learned about curling, you never know when you're going to win until when you actually win the game, when you're shaking hands.
So how hard was the last game?
The last game for sure, but it was a tough game, but it was for sure not one of our toughest of the weekend. We had played a lot of other better competition leading up to that final, but it was still a good game overall.
So then what was the hardest game that you played?
I'd have to say that the hardest game that we played was the semifinal against Gimli. They put up a good battle for us, made a lot of shots, it got me a little nervous for sure, but pulled it out in the end.
So then was that your guys' best game, or?
I think it was one of our best games of the weekend. It may not have been our best near the end, but we did pull through in the shots when we needed to make the shots for the win. So I think it did turn out pretty good.
So then what was your guys' best moment throughout the games?
Best moment, gotta say, right at the end when you're getting handed that banner, no feeling like it.
My name is Bill McTavish. I'm the coach of the team, and I'm extremely proud of these guys. Miles Mack has been to the provincials several times over the years, but this is the first time we've actually won since 1972. So we've ended a 45-year drought. Not quite the Chicago Cubs record, but it's been a long time. And so I think that sort of makes this a little bit sweeter, being able to finally bring back the provincial title 45 years later. And I don't know if I'm happy or sort of ashamed to admit that I was actually there the last time we won, because my brother skipped the team that won in 1972. So I was about 9 years old, and I was watching when Miles Mack won it the last time. So that makes it a little bit extra sweet for me as a coach to be able to have been that part of Miles Mack history and River East Transcona School Division history to bring back the title again. So once again, they played with great heart, and I'm really proud of them, as well as our girls team, who didn't win the provincials, but they played with a lot of heart and determination.
Hello, folks. Welcome back to the Jordan 411 Sports Show. Today's guest is a former Olympic basketball player. But most of all, what he loves is coaching. He's the founder of the Winnipeg Wolf program and was inducted into the Canadian Basketball Hall of Fame. Please give a warm welcome to Martin Riley. My next guest is a good basketball player in his own right. He was invited to Nike All Canada and only the top player, 75 players get to go. He played for the Wesmen team and was captain for 5 years. Please give a warm welcome to Mr. Opalko.
Great, thanks for having us.
Yeah, I've been pumped.
And I've been waiting for you to ask.
Now, my first question is for you both. Why do you like basketball?
Youth.
Youth, okay, youth before beauty. I think I first got into basketball when I was really young because my dad used to play basketball on the Canadian national team and around the same time that Mr. Riley played. So as a young kid, I always grew up hearing different stories about different people, Mr. Riley being one of those included, and started by getting a little mini hoop at home and all this kind of history since then.
I got into basketball probably by mistake, just something to do, and I was my first kick at it was we played 4 games. We were 0-4, and I got to play because all the hockey guys quit. So it was a win-win for me. This is that I have to work on. But he did say, and this is a strength that I believe that I have, is I understand the game. Things he said, you really understand the game well, and you make up for a lot of those weaknesses that you have.
I think I'd have a similar answer. So I'm pretty tall now, and people notice that when they see me, but for the majority of my basketball, I was quite short, and it wasn't until about grade 11 or 12 where all of a sudden I shot up and got taller. I was slow, and I didn't play very good defense, but the things that I did do well were some of the skills. I worked on my weaknesses, but some of the skills that I was good at, I had to make sure I was effective. So if my coach wanted me to be a shooter, I had to make sure that I was shooting a high percentage shot so they'd trust me to do that. If he wanted me to pass, then I had to make sure I was a passer.
What's the hardest thing about being a coach?
Well, the hardest thing that I find is allowing the players to actually play and trusting them that they're going to eventually get what you're trying to get across to them. Immediate success, but in long-term success, and that's the toughest thing.
When you were coming out of high school, you got, did you get scouted by the national team?
Well, I tried out in grade 11. I was 16 years old, and my coach, who again is my mentor, threatened me that if I didn't go to the tryouts, I didn't get invited. I just showed up. I said, "Hi, Coach Donahue. My name is so and so. Can I try out for your team?" Only because my high school coach threatened me. He liked what he saw. He was going to have me play on the B team, but he said, "I think you're just too young." And he invited me the next year, and then I made the team.
That amongst the basketball community here in Manitoba is something that's commonly talked about, that Mr. Riley had played at that level at a high school is an amazing accomplishment to be able to have that opportunity.
I have some money here for you.
I was aware of that.
And you do a lot of fundraising, isn't that right? Can you tell me what that is?
Well, you introduced me as the humanitarian hoopster. Somewhere along the road I was given that nickname. As an adult, when I finished my university basketball career, that basketball had really been good to me. And I kind of decided I wanted to give back to the game. And so I was very fortunate. I worked as an affiliate staff member of Athletes in Action and was able to travel and work with kids in over 20 countries. And when I was in those countries, I really saw some of the poverty. And a big thing for me as a teacher and a counselor was these kids don't only need to play sports, but they need to get an education. And I really felt that was a way out of poverty. We raised around $40,000 and went out and paid for school fees for a group of kids in Swaziland, Africa. And they were able to get school shoes and uniforms, and we tried to remove some of those obstacles. So that's been an important way for me to use basketball to give back.
Why did you start the Wolf program? Because I've been looking on your site, and it's actually pretty amazing.
Well, first of all, I wanted to give elite basketball players who weren't at the provincial level a chance to continue training and maybe attain that goal of making a provincial team or moving on to post-secondary. So I started the Wolves program up, and we started with not being very good again, and it took us about 3 years to actually progress to a point of being competitive. And we went 3 years without winning a tournament, a game in a tournament in the States.
Why did you choose to go to Brazil? You couldn't you not make the NBA, but you choose the international route instead?
Well, thank you. No, I didn't have a chance to make the NBA. You know, the game that they play doesn't suit what I do. And so when I played in Argentina, they phoned me, and I had a chance to play in Uruguay and a couple other places, and it just worked out. You know, and they paid me to play.
They actually pay you a pretty good chunk of change. How much was it when you played?
It was enough to, you know, probably the equivalent back then in the day, like that's a long time ago. It was the equivalent of about a $75,000 to $80,000 a year job here.
Like a teacher? Am I overstepped? Can I say that?
You know something? It's not in the money, the kind of money that Mr. Bruce makes.
How about what you make?
You know, depends on how generous Mr. Bruce is feeling. After this interview, it may go down.
I'm sure you guys also party lots and stuff. You might not want to get into that.
Yeah, I mean, party hard, yeah. No, you know something? The party scene wasn't something that I actually got into, but that's part of the discipline of when you want to accomplish something. I can't do that right now. It's not that I didn't go to parties or anything like that, but it certainly wasn't the focus of mine. That's all. But hey, good question again.
Thank you guys for coming.
Thanks, Kurt.
Thank you for coming. That's it, folks. Make sure you comment and subscribe on YouTube.
Please like and subscribe to Jordan's YouTube channel and follow him on Twitter.